Hello everybody, good day. Shadowy2 here. Shadowy2. It's the second time I've done that in 2 days. Shadowy2 here. Um, I wanted to touch on a little bit more in depth into one particular part of the subject of a video I did. I think it came out this morning. And it was a whole thing on New Ages and Neo-Pagans and Socialism. I just wanted to delve more into the forgetting, cut out the New Ages part and look into the Neo-Pagan and paganism. I look for it, and what I'm looking for isn't there when I look for it on Google and such, where I'm looking for, at least in the modern day, where paganism, neo-pagans are interacting with politics. Now, some of the problems with this is that, for example, we have attitude towards authority, anti-authoritarian, and a lot of us are working class with a bunch of middle class and upper middle class, but there's working class down for us. But when it comes to politics, it seems that, whilst we're anti-capitalist, it's more anarchist, and I just question whether it necessarily has to be anarchic. I do see some similarities and some comparison between socialism, or at least British socialism, and British paganism, and it's the decentralized nature of our communities. We'd rather come together as sort of like a coven or a council, so to speak. Now, what I want to touch on here is the subject of devolution. I think that devolution would have more weight behind it if pagans got behind it. It's not, in our recent history, it's not something we like to do, getting into politics, because we're not, if we're anarchic more often than not. We tried to stay out of the system, but part of our thing is that people are part of a larger system that has only a limited impact on our actual reality. But the limited impact we can have, we should have. And in politics, given that our population is at the point it's at, more, when it comes, I get the want to pull away from an organized system, but this is, being pagan, we are supposed to recognize the reality, the material reality we are in. Otherwise, we're just new ages, where we make our own reality. And as I said, the decentralization the decentralized nature of our communities mean that when we do come together to make decisions, it's like a council. We can call them covens or whatever you like, but essentially they are councils. And a council done properly doesn't have a one particular leader unless that person is elected, and even then, that leader, it's like sort of like the way we do our monarchy now, where the monarch doesn't actually have power. It's Parliament that has power, but even then, our Parliament is fucked because it's supposed to be the Parliament is supposed to be representative of its people, and it just isn't right now. But this is, in a sense, pagan. You know, the our Wotan bring back a bit of the Wotan system. We don't need to necessarily, be as authoritarian. It's ridiculous that, but whilst we are anti-authority, can we not evolve? Again, as pagans, as neo-pagans, we are apparently, from much of the things I've read, much of what makes us is recognizing the reality we are in, and not just treating it like it's all some illusion. So, and given that socialists actually look at are supposed to look at the realities of life rather than what they want. People say that socialism is idealistic, but given that it was born of people, not just Marx and Engels, but people from before them as well, looking at the situation and seeing that down at our level, it's not fair that there should be other people above us choosing our fate when they have nothing to do with us. If our parliamentarians were responsible, if we could actually recall our parliamentarians for, not doing as they said they do, that would, to me, be better. That's more socialist, and it's pagan. It's neo-pagan in essence. There is a thing about some sort with a number of socialists of being atheist and anti-religious, but there are a number of neo-pagans that don't necessarily have gods, but still follow the traditions. It's very strange. Not only that, but with this push now towards more green, more this larger societal push trying to look after our planet better. Maybe we actually have something to say here, instead of being ridiculed like we have been for the last 50 years since Earth Day was first came up with. It's ridiculous. So yeah, I think neo-pagans need to think about evolving culturally just a bit. We don't need to completely get rid of the anarchic part of us, but at the same time, we are on the left, much of us, There are a number of us on the right too. But being people that, see death as a reality, not as something that needs to be, fought as an enemy, we don't need to make it's not that in of itself isn't capitalist, because we're not doing this thing what we do for profit. I mean, it's all well and good. You can go and get profit if you like, but don't don't do it at the expense of other people, especially people much worse off than you. That's just ridiculous. But yeah, there is, like I said, the spiritual side of me and the cultural side of me is pagan, but and neo-pagan, but you know my political, I am on the left. I am socialist. When I look through the different sectors, when it comes to politics, the different areas in which I identify with socialism, democratic socialism. So I do think there's the other thing of, I think one of the reasons we are so anarchic is our attitude towards Christianity. I one of those that have a problem with Christianity as a whole. Uh, we don't forget the persecution. Whilst yes, it can be said that Vikings came here, pagans came, Anglo-Saxons came here, and the Frisians and the Utahs, but the pagans were already here, and Celtic pagans, whether that's Britannic or Gallic. So, but it wasn't about the gods, it was about resources. It was about, making a home. It was fighting over resources a lot of the time, not about religion. It's only when Christianity came into it that we got, wars over actual religion. My God is the right God, and you will follow it or you will die. Like, there are some examples of that before Christianity, but when Christianity came along, it just went boom. Like, that was their thing, man. Or it's the same for me. It's the same with Judaism and Islam. So, but as Christianity is sort of dropping off, they're not getting so many people coming into the churches, new people. They're not. Their population is shrinking, whereas ours is growing. And I think part of the hostility to authorities, again, is due to the fact that in this country the authority was Christian, and in some ways still is. But we can change that, especially with the advent of atheism and the inclusion of Hindus, Sikhs, and Muslims and Jews into our political system. And yet we have nothing. We've got no say in how our country is run. Whilst many of us try to work outside the system, we still have to rely on the system to a point. It's unrealistic to think otherwise. To a point, we do actually have to interact with the rest of society, and it'd be nice to go around not being persecuted. Whilst the violent persecution is less likely for pagans, we still get. I mean, I personally get it still in the street. So, and that's partly down to the fact that we aren't we keep ourselves invisible. And when we came out, when we, you know, the only time people really come out looking like us is for fancy dress and shit. So we end up being made look a joke. How about we come out and not become a joke? I think if alongside like 21st century socialism, Neo-Paganism can do quite a lot for this country. Let me know what you think. Again, this is it's a subject I've touched on before, but given the video I did last night, and I'm looking for or waiting for the second part to the article, for the second part to that video, but just picking on one part of it, just the politics and Neo-Paganism, Neo-Pagans and socialism, and 21st century socialism in Britain, and not in America, but Britain in particular. We can talk about America, but I don't really know if someone could if an American pagan socialist can get hold of me and talk to me. I'd love to chat. But we treat ourselves like a counterculture, and I think possibly it's time just to evolve just a bit, because otherwise, if we continue down the same road, we're just gonna end up as a dead end again. I don't want that. I don't want us to become like Christians or anything like that. I don't want us to have massive churches and shit and getting capital from. Yeah, that's not what I want. But we as a culture, as a people, can, and given the societal shift towards green, we have a word here. Green socialism. Just think about it. Like I said, let me know what you think. I'm gonna go into more different aspects of this throughout the week. So just catching up on current events. But as a summary, I think we are, as a people in Britain, we do need to organise a little bit. We need to evolve just a little bit. And that's just from what I know of evolutionary science. Now, our attitude towards science can be a bit mixed, which I find a bit. But given that we don't really have a problem with non-linear theories, the way we think about evolution now isn't linear. So give it a thought. Let me know what you think. Like I said, I believe neo-pagans and socialists in the UK can work together. I reckon there is a lot more similarities between them than not. There are differences, but I reckon there are similarities, and some good similarities. Again, let me know what you think. I'd like some insight from other people, if that's possible. This has been Shadow Waiter. A blessed Thursday, everyone. From me, Freya, and Lady Sif. This has been my Dork speaking. Good day, everyone.